Hello, my name's Stuart, and we're just going to have a closer look at the two new N97s. We have the full-size one here and the mini one here. The main differences you can see cosmetic differences. Firstly, this button here is a sort of polished finish, whereas this one's matte. And when you turn that on, you can see that button lights up where it doesn't on this one. The sensors and the cameras at the top are arrayed slightly differently, but for all intents and purposes they're the same. On the mini one here, you have Nokia written on the top. On here it's actually embossed in the side there. Apart from the obvious differences in their size, you also have differences in the thickness. With the camera location, you can see that the buttons are the same, but the trim on the mini is much darker than that on the full-size version. In addition, the buttons at the bottom, you can see that they're angled on this one slightly off-centre, whereas that's centre. On the bottom, you have not much difference apart from this small gap here on the full-size is where you take the back off. On this, it's on the side instead. Here on the last side, the only marked difference here, apart from the slight grooves in the hold-release buttons, is that on the full-size version, next to the charger you have the light here, whereas on here it's on the left. As you hold it like that, you see they're on opposite sides. And that's just a small LED difference, not much difference in functionality there. Opening them up, as we've shown you before with this, it's just a case of pressing the side and it will open up to give you the keys. This is the full-size version. You have the same action on the mini, however the keyboards, you can see, are slightly different. On the full-size, you have this directional pad with a button in the middle. On the mini, you have directional pad here done by 4 keys, like on a standard computer or PC keyboard. Apart from that, these are, for all intents and purposes, the same. Just notice the shift button there is on opposite sides, and all the extra functions for the keys are in blue on the full size and in a sort of browny tan colour on the mini. Apart from that, the phone is mostly the same as each other specification-wise. The big exceptions are that the memory on here is standard 8GB, still formidable for an onboard memory, and you can upgrade that. On this one here, the standard is 32GB as it comes, so that's top of the range straight out of the box. The camera is the same, however on the back you'll see that this camera is already exposed. There is a small screen protector tab that you can pull off the plastic cover, but apart from that your lens is exposed at all times, whereas on the full size you have a small shutter which opens and closes. Now when you open that and the camera's on, it turns the camera on when the phone's actually activated. Another point of note on the back is that this full size has a plastic back, whereas the mini has a metal back. This is a sticker, this can be removed, don't worry about it, but there is Nokia N series logo in that metal on there, and it's just written on the plastic on there. Now we'll have a look at the differences on the backs and the batteries. The batteries here are obviously different sizes, and that's likewise, they're different capacities. The smaller one isn't going to last quite as long. It still holds a good amount of talk time, but there's a couple of hours shaved off to accommodate the smaller battery. If you want to go into more specifics about that, you can find specs on our websites and many others. Opening the back, as I said on the top one, you just put on the top there's a ridge, and you can just open it up like that. And it's a plastic case, comes apart, and it takes the whole back of the phone off. On the smaller one, you have tabs in the 2 sides. Just put your finger in there, and you can pop off the back there. And as you would have heard there, that's metal, whereas this is plastic. In addition, it doesn't take the whole back off. You still have here and around the top of the camera left on. Now another marked difference is the same way up, you've got the batteries in the same orientation, but where your memory card goes is different. On the smaller one, on the Mini, you have a metallic guide here, and you slot the memory card in the side there, like that. On the full-size one, the memory card slot is hidden underneath where the shutter for the camera goes, so you just slide it in there instead. It's a plastic surround. Another difference as well is where you put the SIM cards. They're in the same place, but in the full-size version, there's a small tab here, which you just slide forwards, and that locks open. You put your SIM card in there, slide it closed. On the Mini, as you pull the SIM tray out, it will come right out, and then you place your SIM card in there, as shown on the engraved on the tray itself. You then place the tray back in and close that off. Apart from that, they're the main differences. We're just going to install the batteries, turn them on, so you can see the actual differences in functionality. Both of them turn on in the same way. You have the button on the top next to the headphone socket. Start that one on, and we'll turn them on together. And we'll just let these turn on. It may take a couple of minutes because they are smartphones. Okay, now both of them are started up, and I've gone through the preliminary settings of getting the date set up and all the boring choosing your location and things like that. They're very straightforward on both phones, and they follow a similar path. It's nice and easy to do, and I'm sure you won't have any problems with that, so we're not going to go into any detail there. Now, on both the phones, we have the hold button, as that one's just turned itself off. Then you push those, and you can lock your screens. I understand that both of them have proximity sensor as well, so when you're making a call and putting it next to your head, you're not pressing the buttons. As standard, they're coming in slightly different designs. This one has a blue background, but I know it has some pre-installed backgrounds on there, and there's nothing to stop you going ahead and choosing your own. And this one here has a couple more different applications. It already has the Nokia Ovi application on there, and these tabs, as you can see here, are customizable. If you, on both of them, you hit the options button, you can edit the content on the screens. Both of them have these functions. The main difference really is not going to be in the main functions of the phone. You'll find that the big difference really when it comes to it is just down to the hardware difference of if you hit the camera button on this one, it's going to take you into the camera. And there we can see the camera's lit up. And we can take a picture of its bigger brother there. Whereas on the larger one, you need to slide the back open, and that will automatically activate the camera. Apart from that, for all intents and purposes, the software is basically the same.